that's really touched me, because it just made me think about the mental scars when you was talking about your scar from your cesarean, and just, I think what we go through, maybe it might not be, a lot of the times I think with mothers it's internally, isn't it, and it's your own battles. And I think with my first, with Sunday, and it's ongoing, and like you said, Anna, it doesn't leave you. I don't know if you ever heal from it, but I feel so emotional. I feel so proud of the journey that I've been on with Sunday. I was a single parent, and we went through it. You know, I went through it as a mother when I was pregnant, publicly, and it was hard. And I think for me, the light at the end of the tunnel was giving birth to her. And then I've often sort of said that I've got this unique bond with Sunday, which I do have with Finty, but I can't explain it. It's just, I don't want to say trauma bonded, but you know, when you go through something with someone, and I think that when they're in your womb as well, that's their little home for 9 months. And how you are as a mother, I think, absolutely affects how they are. And yeah, we just really went through it, and I feel so bonded with her. And I guess mentally, I'm so grateful to the support network, because I absolutely couldn't have gone through that first pregnancy and the first few years of her life without my village, which consisted of, you know, my mum and her, we call him her Gaddy, who's my gay BFF, and my friends. Like my life did change, but we still were doing our like nights in, takeaways, and Sunday was just coming along with us. And I feel so grateful that I had that amazing support network. It's different now. I've got Laurie, and I'm in a relationship. It feels very different, but yeah, I just completely think it's true that it takes a small village to raise a child.
There's this amazing song that my daughter learnt for assembly the other day, and it's called Chosen Family. And I thought it was just so lovely, because I'm divorced, I'm now in a blended family. This is not how Disney told me it was going to end up. You know, there's no stories of going, by the way, Fern, you're going to be on your own with this baby. And you're not on your own because you've got the baby. But still, there is so much like going on. Your emotions were translating to Sunday throughout that period of time when you're so vulnerable. And I was listening to her sing this song, and I couldn't stop crying, because I was just like, that's actually what it is that we think it's meant to be our mother, our mother-in-law, like our partner, like husband, 2.4 kids, white picket fence. It's painted for us in all the fairy tales. But actually, what you just described, takeaway, on a sofa with your best mate, people who make, you know, when someone calms your central nervous system, when they walk in the door.
Yes.
Like, so if I saw you at an event, because, you know, Fern and I have crossed over in random places, never really had a proper chat, but there's always like a sense of like, oh, I feel really safe around you. And, you know, there's like, I think we know that our instinct, our maternal instinct is who makes us feel safe, who is trying to take stuff from us, who wants something. And I think your chosen family, like that little song that my daughter was singing, you know, they are your people who make your central nervous system, especially in motherhood, calm. Yeah. And anyone that raises cortisol or adrenaline, or you feel I need to put on a show for or perform for, uneasy. That's not, they're not your chosen family. You're so right. Your blood family, and then there's your gay best friend sitting on a sofa on a Saturday night holding you and the baby.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I could tell my younger self back then, actually, you'll miss those days, because even though like I felt sometimes lonely, and I'm like, oh, you know, even though it was fun having my support network there, I think I longed for this family. And now I've got it, and don't get me wrong, I too am in a blended family, but every situation that you're in, it arises new challenges. And I'm like, oh, do you know what? It felt like the sitcom Friends. Yeah. We had an absolute blast. Natalie, I wanted to come on to you now. I'm so sorry to hear that your mum passed away a few years ago, and I know that you're okay with talking about it, so I really wanted to ask how that affected you.
So we went on a family holiday to Mexico for my 40th birthday, and Mum died when I was on holiday. It was so sudden. She just had a heart attack at home and literally got a phone call
Oh my goodness.
whilst we was on holiday saying that, you know, she had passed away. Sorry. She was...
Oh no. Oh no.
She was my village. She was my village, and oh God, I'm really sorry. But it wasn't.
No, it's okay.
It wasn't until she died that I realised that she was my village, and that she was someone that I could phone up and say, you know, moan about the kids. They're not going to bed. They're not eating their dinner, and it, you know, and she would always never judge, just be there, you know, and just know what to say. She was, you know, she was a mum herself. She was my mum. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Don't worry.
I
know.
Go on.
No, I just I hope that you're okay with talking about it. I know that you said
I am.
yeah. You take a deep breath. You've got the strength.
Yeah.
Yes, but do you know what? Your story will, I think, with people listening, will help so many, because you have, I don't know if you ever overcome something like that, but you're carrying on, and you're doing so brilliantly with your boys and your business, and take your time.
It was just a massive shock. It was, you know, come back off holiday, and it was like that mum guilt kicked in again. It was like, right, okay, I've lost my mum, I've got to grieve, but at the same time I've got a business to run. So I went back to work straight away, because if I don't go to work, it's, you know, I've got staff, I've got jobs, I've got wages to pay, we've got a mortgage. If I don't go to work, all of those things are going to fall through. So I just went straight back into work, and I came last, and I didn't really look after myself very well for about a year. And it really, really affected me. Like, I was having to go on social media every day and face my business and be the face of my business. But behind the scenes, I was slowly moving further and further away from who I actually was. And I didn't really see it until it got too late. And I just had a complete breakdown and had to go to the doctor. And, you know, I'm not afraid to say that I had got depression, and I had to go on antidepressants. And it was just such a really difficult time, having to carry on being a mum, still go to, you know, the school plays and sports days and you know, play dates. But behind the scenes, you know,
That's
just grieve.
That's what's tough about going through a really difficult time, is that you can't press pause on being a mum. You have to continue. When you said about still going to the school plays, you know, you just have to, I think that mothers just have this inner strength and resilience, and you don't even think that you've got it until you go through something like that.
No, absolutely.
And how are you now? How are you
really,
doing now,
really
Natalie?
Well. I'm actually the best I've probably ever been. The tablets worked.
Love
you
that.
know, and again, I'm not ashamed. There's such a stigma around, you know, antidepressants, and it's not something I ever thought that I would need. I've never had anything like that before. It obviously took my mum's death to take me down to that lowest point. But yeah, it worked, and it fixed me, and I feel, you know, in a really good spot.
I think that's amazing, and it's so good to hear that you're feeling good and that you're feeling positive. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. It sounds just so tragic and so sudden. And I just think that with the antidepressants, you saying whatever works, I think that it's whatever works for you and each individual. So it's really good to hear that you're feeling more positive.
Yeah, I am.
I wanted to move on to talk about how we find working alongside having children. It's a big one. For me, I never stopped.
No.
And Natalie, I know that you said You had, I mean, I think work can be a wonderful distraction when you go through something. You can really throw yourself into it. I'm constantly juggling, playing the game of juggling and always dropping a ball at least 10 times a day. But yeah, the juggle, but I love it. Like, I genuinely love it, girls. Like, I think I wouldn't be me if I couldn't be mega busy. And like I said, it's only when I have babies that I'm like, right, okay, this is my excuse to have a little bit of a break. But how was it for you? The juggle, the battle of returning to work, the mum guilt. Anna, how did you feel?
I think weirdly we've got the same thing in common, all three of us, is that we all kind of threw ourselves into work as an almost escape from what we couldn't face. And I think you have the practicalities of having a baby, which is nappy change, try and get them to sleep through the night, bottles, sterilise. There's lots of like doing words, like actions, and you can do that. It's like paint by numbers in a way, you know, whatever route you go down, it's, you know, keep that baby sustained. But then there's the emotional side of it. And I think I went back to work after 2 weeks because, like Natalie, you know, I was the primary earner, and we couldn't afford for me not to do that. And I think what happens in that moment is I remember going on this shoot, and the lights were like on me, and I was sweating, and my C-section scar, like, I wasn't healed. Like, my placenta, like, was still, there's a scar, I think, inside of you, a wound about this big for like 2-3 weeks. That when we're told to rest postnatally, it's not like just because, you know, you need to be there to breastfeed your child. It's because you have literally had abdominal surgery, or you know,
it's a trauma, isn't it?
It's a physical trauma. And I think there's a lot of women, especially with the online world, where we can get back quicker. Where I was stood under those lights, like sweating, C-section scar burning, baby crying. And I think I disassociated from Anna, and I became a caricature of myself to survive. I turned up to the internet as someone else, and then behind the scenes, I was gradually deteriorating. And the more I deteriorated, the more makeup I put on, the more masks I put on, the more I turned up, showed up. And you then throw, you know, maybe for Natalie, customer services, horrendous responses from somebody who didn't like your product. Third, maybe it's for you. It's some moment where you said something and the world comes in on you. For me, I had the same thing. I made one wrong move and the internet kind of came down on me. It doesn't matter what your job is. Your boss could have a moment where they just go, you know, you're not good enough. You're not doing this enough. And I think the house of cards can come tumbling down. But as women, as mothers, I don't think we ever are able to show it because, like you said, the whole, like, keep calm, carry on, crack on, you know, like, just keep going. And my pain and anger is that I think the working world does not get female biology, does not get leaking tits, does not get separation anxiety, does not get like that moment when you drop your child at nursery or with your nanny or whatever wraparound childcare you have to sustain your career, and they're screaming for you and you have to either walk on stage. Like, that moment is trauma. Alexandra Burke said she will never forget her first moment back on stage. Her baby was 1 month old, screaming for her boob, wasn't taking the bottle. She's like, I need to feed her. And they were like, no, the lights are coming up, the show's got to go on. And she's like, that was that moment that it broke me as a mother, because we're torn, not just gently pulled, torn. We are torn in two between what does Fern, Natalie and Anna want for herself, what's your purpose. I love being busy, Fern. Like, Natalie, I want to drive this business. I want to change a law. Like, that matters for me and for my girls. But then the other side of that, like, is your purpose is also your little baby. And so you're constantly, I think, I hate to use the word bipolar, but I felt like two different people for a very long time.
Mum and you, they are a team of mums, and they really support flexi working hours. Anna, let's talk about how important flexible working is for mums.
Well, I think, like, maybe I might turn that on its head and say it's super important for dads. I just feel so frustrated that even now, with all the campaigning I'm doing, my partner with this baby will get 2 weeks off to my probably 3 months that I can cobble together as a freelancer. And it's almost still a Mad Men world where they're celebrated. A lot of men in his world in finance are celebrated for coming back earlier. Like, yeah, like, you know, come on.
No.
And so I'm going to turn it on its head and say, like, I'm really tired about the conversation being around flexible working for mums. I need dads to step up, and not even like hapless dads who are really, every guy I know, his dad is brilliant, is wonderful, wants to have more time with their children. There's no like old tropes of like the 1960s where come in, slippers off, newspaper out, and where's dinner. There's men who want to, and I think I urge any businesses, anybody owning a business, and, you know, including Natalie, small businesses, big businesses, to afford men the same flexibility as women. Otherwise, we will quite literally consistently be holding the baby, and that's the work baby and the real baby.
That in my
That's a
house,
great point.
when I had to go back to work after maternity leave, we couldn't afford the childcare, so Dan took the time off work. He stayed at home with the baby, and I went back to work, and that was, you know, quite rare, and I think probably still is, but it was so nice to know that, you know, whilst I was at work and I'd rather obviously be at home with the baby, Dan, you know, baby was with dad, not a nanny or a nursery.
We even just look at like nappy changing facilities. There's never any for men.
I know.
Like, it's so basic. When you want to know where the lay of the land is, and the reason we're all burning out is because even the burden of changing a nappy is on women.
So true.
Constantly.
We went out for dinner the other night, and as soon as we walked in, Finty had done a poo, and I was like, "It's your turn." And he said to me, and bear in mind, Laurie is a hands-on dad. He's great with the children, and he was like, "There's no," as if like a bit of banter. He was like, "But there's no baby changing in the men's." And I was like, "Oh," up the stairs, and I'd literally just walked in. It was Friday. My wine touched the table, and I was like, "Oh, okay, my turn."